Just a remarkable miracle nowadays. We pray for those in the city who may be still sick, who needs a touch from you. We pray protection over our officers, our firefighters, our city employees. We pray for this mayor and council tonight as they render the decisions of this city. They'll do the best thing for the benefit of all the citizens. We ask your blessings upon our town. We ask all this in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call roll.
Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Councilman Bryant.
Here.
Councilman Fuller.
Here.
Councilman Holloway.
Here.
Councilman Jolly.
Here.
Councilman True.
Here.
Mayor Miller.
Here. All present. We do have a quorum. You received the minutes from the January 27th, 2020 meeting. Is there any additions or corrections? I hear none. Do I hear a motion to be approved? So moved. Motion by Councilman Holloway. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Councilman Anderson. Councilman Holloway. Nothing. Councilman Anderson. Nothing. Anyone? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is presentation and approval of financials January 2020. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman True. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Bryant. Councilman True.
I yield the floor to Ms. Ruthie.
Ms. Ruby.
Yes, in your packet you should have a copy of the bank statement information for the general fund. The ending balance on January 31st was $495,928.71. Reserve and emergency $119,076.24. Let me rephrase that. $19,258.07. I was looking at last year. TVA Foundation Fund $17,614.11. The Smile Drug Fund, $1,557.54. Special Revenue Fund, which is our grant fund, is $15,771.48. Capital Projects, $33,485.51. Payroll Fund, $775.31. The Drug Fund, $38,550.52. State Street Aid, $110,700.87. And in our Raymond James Capital Investment Fund, we have $361,241.60. You also have a copy of the summary financials ending January 31st and a copy of reconciled checks that were written in the month of January. As of January 31st, all the departments are well within where they should be this time of year. And I checked today to see where we are on our property taxes. So through today, about 2 o'clock, we had collected $576,562 out of the $800,000, which leaves us $223,000 that's unrealized. And they got a lot of them in the mail today, so that was probably not in there until later. So we're right on schedule with where we normally are. Things look good.
Anything further, Councilman True?
Nothing.
Councilman Bryant?
Nothing.
Anyone else?
Our audit started today, Mayor. I know it's off subject just a little bit, but auditors are here if everybody wants to drop in and see them tomorrow.
Anything further? Call roll.
Councilman Anderson?
Yes.
Councilman Bryant?
Yes.
Councilman Fuller?
Yes.
Councilman Holloway?
Yes.
Councilman Jolly?
Yes.
Councilman True?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, and the ayes have it. Next item is public comments. We always like to open the floor to anyone that would like to address the mayor and council. All that we ask is that you come to the front, state your name and address. Anyone?
Yes, me.
Yes, sir. Come ahead, buddy.
My name is Daniel T. Gile. I live at 410 Rathburn Street. This is Lisa Storm. She's with me. What we have here, Councilman and Mayor, sir, is if we bought a house on 419 Stewart Street for $9,500, it's public notice. You can go to the courthouse and get it. The house is destroyed inside. It's going to take at least 2 to 3 to 4 years to get it straightened out. And all we're asking for is for the taxes that we pay on it is for the amount that I bought the house and property for. And until we get it renovated. And I have a friend that is a certified property assessor. His name is Sammy Sams, he's from Kingston. He lives out on 58. He does all my appraisals. And he's already told me that once we get it straightened out and fixed, he'll come and appraise it for me. And he's a certified guy. He's not gonna give me no break. He's just gonna come and appraise it for probably what it's already appraised for, which is $66,700. And that's all we're asking for right now. And I talked to Harold Holloway, and he said I need to go to Kingston and talk to the county. I talked to Harold over here, and he said the same thing. But I wanted to talk to the city council to see what their ideas were.
That's exactly, if I'm correct, you'll need to go to the county and they'll have to address it, not us.
Okay, well, they told, Sharon told us to come here and talk to you first, and then go to them. So, if we gotta go to the county, then that's fine, so
Councilman Fuller?
I would take some pictures,
we got pictures.
interior and everything. Yes, if you've got, I'd make a case to them and see if they'll reduce it. And then, you know, once you bring it back to life, you know, Sammy will appraise it and get it back on the tax rolls at the right.
Okay, well,
But I would just, she needs to deduct for,
okay.
for,
Well, that's what
and
Harold.
I'm not sure how much, she probably won't go with her sale price, but, you know,
Yeah,
she should reduce it if you would.
okay.
Well, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming. Anyone else?
Mayor, I got one thing, if I could, please. Nothing lengthy. I told some guys, Doug Evans, 456 South Kingston Avenue, with our Rockwood Model Railroad Association. Did we ever get anyone to paint the caboose? I know there's a scout come by, and the reason I'm saying that is
Never did do it.
that our group, a couple of members, asked me to come before the council and kind of mention this. If, and I'll talk to you about it more in the weeks to come, if they could kind of use that as a kind of an office for rail fanners, and we call them rail fans, people who are train enthusiasts who come in the area, kind of give them a staging area. And in fact, if Southern Appalachian Railway ever puts the excursion train on, of course, it could be used preceding a depot as a kind of a place to buy tickets, and we would house that and take care of it and clean it up. And the guys told me, which one of them is a part of the Southern Appalachian Railway Museum, that they'd be willing to paint it if you guys want to buy the paint. So just keep that in mind. We'd like to talk to you about that as a railroad group and just see if we can make it look better and maybe just put a train scanner radio in there and just kind of, they just would kind of hang out there, and they're all good, classy guys. Railroad people, one exception to me, is probably all right. But they are all good, classy guys, no flag.
Will you be hanging out there?
I don't know, I probably would be a little bit, yes, every now and then.
I think we can vote on that now.
Just keep that in mind. I'll talk to you more about it, Ms. Ruthie, maybe if we can get it painted, it would look good. And kind of guess, because Rockwood is a railroad town, I mean, it really is. And I know Dave and other people, he's got his hands full now, but they've been working on this other deal. And one of our members is part of that group, so he keeps me informed too. So we're just kind of wanting to maybe utilize it and see what we can do with it. We'll paint it, we'll get it looking good anyway. These guys are railroad guys, they know what they're doing, so just keep that in mind. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? This will be the last time unless a council member yields the floor to you if you want to address the mayor and council. Again, we thank everyone for coming. We have a special guest tonight, Dakota McMillan. He's from Rockwood High School. Would you stand, please? He's representing the Roane County Youth Leadership Program, and he has to attend the council meeting. And we are sure glad to have you, and we're proud of you here at Rockwood. And I know Rockwood High School's proud of you, but we're glad you came. Thank you. Committee reports from council. Does anyone have any tonight? Okay, we have no old business. Moving on to new business. Ordinance 1267, ordinance rezoning certain lots. This is first reading. This has been recommended by the planning commission. This is the lots on Chamberlain Street. One of them is Dr. Park, where he had his place, and the next empty lot there that Chamberlain Memorial owns. They're wanting to rezone those from M1 to M1 Light Industrial to C1 Central Business District. So that would be the recommendation of the planning commission. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Fuller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman True. Councilman Fuller.
Those properties do fit the commercial criteria, so I recommend that we vote to approve this.
Councilman True.
Nothing.
Anyone? Call roll.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilman Bryant,
Yes.
Councilman Ford,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Councilman Jolly,
Yes.
Councilman True,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Remember, this is first reading, so next month, if you have any other questions, we'll have a second final reading next month. Next item is Resolution 2003, a resolution concerning the sale of property at 210 Pump House Road. If y'all remember, this is the house that was deeded over to us by Miss Hart. We have torn the house down, cleaned everything up. They did a fantastic job. We did it ourselves with our city employees. And the lady and man that lived next door have made an offer of $4,000 to buy that property. And my recommendation is, along with Mr. Ishman, that we sell it to them. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Bryant. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Anderson. Councilman Bryant.
I think this will be a good move for us. I think we ought to do it.
Councilman Anderson.
Nothing.
Anyone? Call the roll.
Councilman Anderson, Councilman Bryant,
Yes.
Councilman Ford,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Councilman Jolly,
Yes.
Councilman True,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Next item is Resolution 2005, resolution authorizing the city of Rockwood attorney to file suit against the owners and occupants at 409 West Wheeler Street. As you've read there, they are operating a business out of there that is a,
We skipped one, Mayor.
did we?
Yes, sir.
Sure did. Sorry. Resolution 24, resolution authorizing the Rockwood City Attorney to file suit against the owners of 412 South Wilder Avenue. This is where they own the property and they're running an automobile repair facility out of it, and it's R1 low density. They're not supposed to be doing that. We've talked to them, as y'all know, we've met with them on numerous occasions about this in the past, and it's not seemed to have sunk in. So we're recommending that we file suit, and this is to give the city attorney that authority. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Holloway. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Jolly. Councilman Holloway.
I think it's the only choice we got left, Mayor.
Councilman Jolly.
No.
Anyone? Call the roll.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilman Bryant,
Yes.
Councilman Ford,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Councilman Jolly,
Yes.
Councilman True,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Next item is Resolution 2005, a resolution authorizing the Rockwood City Attorney to file suit against the owners and occupants of 409 West Wheeler Street. Again, this is a place that has no water, and we're asking that we're able to, they have no utility or lack of utilities, so we're asking that that we be able to file suit against them. We have approached those people on how many occasions, Harold? 2 or 3?
Yes.
And asked them to please move out, and they're not complying with what Harold wrote up, so we're wanting to take it to Chancery Court. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman True. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Bryant. Councilman True.
Nothing.
Councilman Bryant.
Nothing.
Anyone else? Call the roll.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilman Bryant,
Yes.
Councilman Fuller,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Councilman Jolly,
Yes.
Councilman True,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Next item is airport budget amendment update. You see that we've got a budget amendment where we're moving some money around in the airport budget. Do I hear a motion, we get it approved, so we can get it on the floor, let Ms. Ruby explain it to us?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Jolly, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Anderson. Councilman Jolly.
I'd like to yield for Ms. Ruby.
Ms. Ruby.
As everybody knows, we didn't really know what we were going to be facing when we took the airport over, so we're taking in more money. We're also selling more fuel. Our maintenance grant was approved by the state after we passed last year's budget, so we have more money we need to put in there. So I've got $8,000 additional funding going into the maintenance grant, $6,500 additional dollars going into the fuel revenue, $4,000 additional dollars going in our hangar rent, and taking $2,500 from operating supplies. And then I'm moving that total $21,000. $7,000 to payroll wages, $1,790 to the maintenance grant to make it the correct number, and put $12,210 toward fuel purchases. We're going to watch this every month because it's still going to continue to change because we're still learning, and we'll probably in April come back and have another budget amendment. We may have another one at the end because things are going quite well, and we don't really know. So we're just amending it as we go, and I would appreciate your approval.
Anything further, Councilman John? No. Councilman Anderson? Anyone else? Call her up.
Councilman Anderson?
Yes.
Councilman Bryant?
Yes.
Councilman Fuller?
Yes.
Councilman Holloway?
Yes.
Councilman Jolly?
Yes.
Councilman True?
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Comments? Councilman Bryant, do you have anything?
Not at this time.
Councilman True?
Nothing.
Councilman Fuller?
Not this evening.
Councilman Jolly? Councilman Anderson? Councilman Holloway?
Yes, sir.
I know you would.
We're gonna leave it down there. I just want to say thank you to all of our employees. They've been working hard. Last month when we had all this rain, and guys in the city garage, they've been out in the rain, cleaning up tiles, ditches, doing a good job for us. Appreciate all of them. The fire department, they've been taking additional training, so we'll have some good firemen, and if we have a fire, they'll be able to take care of that. So they've been trained the last couple of weeks. Appreciate the job they're doing. The police department, you keep hearing stories about what they're doing, and I won't tell you what they're doing. Last month we had 31 days last month. Out of that 31 days, there was 50 arrests on drug charges. You know, there's a lot of traffic comes up and down Gateway, and there'll be people traveling for drugs, that sort of thing, and the police department's watching for that. They're not only catching them on Gateway, they're catching them in different houses around, and they're doing a good job of catching those guys that's doing drugs, selling drugs, trying to keep them off the street. And the other guys that are out here making traffic stops, you can look at that report every month. And this past month also, it was $3,500 we took in on traffic fines and court costs. So, Chief, y'all, you're doing a good job on that, we sir appreciate it. That's all I got, Mayor. You got anything now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, I want to give you an update on two things that we've done that I think are really important. I want y'all to know what's going on at the airport. First of all, I want to thank David, Miss Rupi, and Councilman Jolly. They're on the airport committee, and they have done a wonderful job under the circumstances we were put under when Mr. Collins decided to leave. And they have done a fabulous job, and things are really, really looking up out there. All of our T hangars are rented. That is really, really big that we've been able to do that. And we have 8 people on a waiting list wanting to get one of them. Now you know that MedTrans, we're getting all the money from them. We're getting around $1,100 a month. So we'll get that additional money, plus we're getting additional ground lease money for the Medtrans building that they've got out there. It's about $288 per month. We have a possible tenant that will take one hangar that has not been ours, that is now. We got to get some updates done on it. But they are contacted David and they've met, and we may have something for y'all at the March meeting to rent that big hangar that has been vacant. That's we just had to update, hadn't been able to do anything with it till now. The maintenance grant, as Ms. Rupi said, has brought in more money than was told to us. The state gave us additional money. We've been able to do that. David and the committee have came up with a project out there for lighting that we think we can do we know we can do. The state's approved out this maintenance grant that will probably save us a ton of money on electric bills. So I appreciate David and the committee bringing that forward and getting that done. They are doing, I'm telling you, they're doing an outstanding job. This airport has really turned around and going to be a big asset to this community. And we're selling a lot of fuel and things are really looking good out there. So I'm really tickled with that. I want to say something about our cleanup. I know that every place in Rockwood that we need cleaned up, we've not got it done. But what we have done up to this point is probably as good, and some mayors have told me this at meetings. They just can't believe what we've done in this community. We've tore down or had torn down over 125 houses. And there's no telling how many lots and yards that we've cleaned up. And Harold and our young lady back there, what a fabulous job they have done. And I want you to know from this council that we appreciate everything y'all done. Y'all done a great job, and I know it's tough at times because you want to get things done quicker, but it just takes time. And again, I want to thank you all for what you've done. I want to thank this council for the work that y'all put in. Y'all been very supportive of these two people and the recommendations that they've made, and it's made a difference in this community. It's not where we want to be, but we're heading in that direction. And I'm just really proud of you all for what y'all done to help them and help this community, because if you've lived in this community a long time like all of us, you see where it was and now where it's come to. And it's, we've still got a lot of work to do, but we are moving forward, and it's because of you all and you two, the work y'all put in, and Miss Rupi, of course, with her help. So I want to thank all of y'all because it's made a difference. And, again, I want everybody to know this process sometimes takes a lot longer than you want it to. But we have to go with Greg's lead, and we have to follow the process. I get frustrated. Sometimes I could just hit him with something because I think it's too slow. But it really makes you understand how important it is when you live across the street from it, when it happens in your neighborhood, what we went through in my neighborhood. And we're moving on it, but it's not quick enough. I had a neighbor call me today. She said, I'm tired of it. I said, me too. But we're moving in that direction. So we got to keep doing what he tells us. We got to keep following the lead of these two people that are working so hard. Remember now, mowing season's going to be here before you know it. And we're going to have yards, and we got to follow our procedures. We got to stay in line, and we'll keep getting it done. But please be patient. But again, I want to thank you two and this council for your support on helping getting this town cleaned up. I want to thank all of our department heads and all of our employees. They do a fabulous job. They work their tails off. They get things done. They're not appreciated enough, in my opinion, a lot of times. But they do an excellent job. And Ms. Rupi, I want you to make sure Chief's here tonight. That's about the only one I see make sure our department heads know how much we appreciate them and the job they've done, so, again, I want them to know. And Ms. Rupi, I want to thank you again. I know you don't like for me to do this, but you have to put up with me, and that's pretty tough. So I want to tell you how much I appreciate the job you've done for this city. You've done a fabulous job, and we appreciate it. Anything else need to come before mayor and council? I hear a motion, we adjourn. Motion by Councilman Holloway, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Anderson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Of course, it's...
All rise. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This Honorable Commissioners meeting of Roane County, Tennessee is now in session. Honorable Chairman Randy Ellis presiding. God bless this United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable meeting. At this time, Pastor Nathan Ray of the Lakeside Baptist Church will lead us in prayer. Afterwards, please remain standing for the pledge of the American flag.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for the opportunity tonight to come and discuss the business of our beautiful county. I pray that you give the commissioners the wisdom and the guidance that they need to move our county forward in a positive way. Pray for the members of our county, the citizens of our county, Lord, that you lead them and guide them, that they work together and alongside the commissioners to make Roane County a better place to live. God, we pray for the children of this county, that we mentor them, that we lead them, because they are the future of this county. More importantly, God, I pray that we glorify you in this meeting tonight, that we're one in unity, that we all work together as one and not divided, but together. And we'll give you all the glory and the honor and the praise. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. If you have a cell phone, please turn it down. Thank you.
Could go ahead and check in and take the roll. It's not coming up on mine. Kenny, what do y'all doing? Okay, let the record reflect we have 13 commissioners present. Mr. Berry is on vacation, and Mr. Hickman's son is playing in the East Tennessee Middle School Sectional Basketball Tournament tonight. So that's where those two are at tonight. We move to get approval of minutes of the January 13, 2019 meeting. Motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Beshears. Commissioner Hester. Commissioner Beshears. No comment. Okay, we'll try to do it on a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Minutes of the January 13th, 2019 meeting approved. Acceptance of committee reports and correspondence. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Meadows.
Nothing to add.
Commissioner Hooks.
Nothing further.
Any questions or comments on the committee report and correspondence? If not, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Committee reports and correspondence has been accepted. Madam Clerk, notaries, please.
Allison Barnes, Mary Smith Bernstein, Matt Corto, Michelle Lee Fisher, Marsha P. Marshall, Keita Mize, Laura Morris, William A. Newcomb, Candace Lee Peacock, Melissa S. Smith and Allison L. Terrabush.
Okay, for the notaries, we get a motion on the notaries by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hendrickson.
Appreciate your willingness, sir.
Commissioner White. Any more questions or comments on the notaries? If not, since we're technically electing the notaries, we'll go ahead and take the roll call vote on this. Notaries are elected 13-0. At this time, we have hearing of delegations. This is the opportunity, if you're here to address the county commission tonight, you could please step to the podium and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the commission. And this is the only time tonight that you'll have to address the commission unless the commissioner yields to you at a certain time during the meeting. Would anybody like to address the commission tonight? Anyone like to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll move on to the county attorney's report.
We have a little over 20 code violation cases set for tomorrow, so expect to be having to clean up some more properties in the near future. And that's really all I have to report this month. Are there any questions about anything?
Any questions for the county attorney? Seeing none, we'll move along to the county executive's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention. First of all, we closed on the $4.9 million bond for the Oliver Springs Middle High School. And part of that, of course, was for the jail project. We closed on that this actually we signed the document, I think it was Thursday. But when we sold the bonds, it was good to report that our interest rate was 2.46%. on our competitive bid on our interest, so we had 30-year debt that averaged 2.46%. Since the school board has now approved the Oliver Springs project, the proceeds of our May issue, which was $7.1 million, along with the 3.9, so we issued debt for 4.9. The schools was 3.9 of that, and then we added that to the 7.1. So that money is now available, roughly $10 million for that project. We will cut a check, as we looked at the law, we will cut a check for the constituents in Oak Ridge. Maybe it can reduce the taxes up there, they can use it. We'll cut a check this week of $737,000. So that's how much money they received with that issuance. So the project there is, and I talked to the schools a little bit, the midway portion of that, they'll probably come to us next week or next month and ask us to surplus some property down there to the utility district. That'll allow the utility districts to get their permit from TDEC and then allow that sewer project to begin and be under construction at Midway. We haven't received the full schedule yet from the Oliver Springs project, so as soon as we do that, we'll forward that on to you all to let you know kind of what the schedule is. The $1 million that we received on the issuance was for the jail and the relocation of codes and to raise 2 properties. So you'll see a resolution in tonight's package that is to acquire a property for the codes building. So that kind of takes care of that indebtedness issue. The thing that kind of was most troubling to us that's happened the last couple of weeks is we had some phone conversation, and Amanda Daugherty's here. She may want to add to this, but I'm going to try to summarize it in that all of our road projects, and I know some of you all on the road committee and the ones on the road committee have been briefed on this, but of our road projects, because of the disaster, it appears that FEMA is wanting to, as we say down south, crawfish a little bit on how much they want to fund of it. So in rough numbers, Riggs Chapel, if we spend $1 million down there, you know, FEMA wants to give us $170,000 for it. The airport road was, I don't know how big that project is now, but they said, yeah, maybe if it's $5 million, we'll give you $150,000.
So the Airport Road is still, I think it went to the road committee on some decisions there. Then you also have Bowman Bend that is along the Tennessee River, of course, and that is being sent back up to change to FEMA before we sign that contract. That has been bid out, it's ready to sign, but if it's a $4 million project and FEMA's gonna give us $200,000, we'll have to really rethink our situation. If you'll remember when we borrowed up to $10 million on those road projects, we put them on 4 or 5 year repayment schedule because it was supposed to be paid back from FEMA money. So that's going to put a little twist depending on how this proceeds. We're somewhat under appeal with FEMA saying, you know, you've approved these projects, you approved the funding, and now you're saying that, oh, well, we really didn't mean it or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do. But anyway, that said, we have received a few payments from FEMA on some other small projects, but a couple of them have some hang-ups because of was the road on the county road, was it on TVA property, which is another federal agency, did the slide come from another property, just a number of things. So Amanda, you want to add anything to that? Have I fumbled through that enough, or does that make sense?
You did well.
Okay. So you'll hear more of that from the road committee, you'll hear more about it from us. We are not signing any more contracts for road work right now because of this FEMA tapu here, but I don't know, that's all I have. Anybody have any questions? We're starting to work on the budget, and you have your financial package in front of you there if you have any questions. Mr. Meadows.
Have you talked to Senator Yeager about FEMA's new,
We have not talked to Senator Yeager yet because that is more of a FEMA issue than a TEMA issue. So we're trying to work through the proper channels before we try to pull in the big guns on that one, I guess.
Mayor, Dennis and Tony both did state that FEMA told them to appeal to Alexander and to Wyburn and Fleischman, that they would be able to help in this matter. So
They could be able to help, whether they will or whether they have the, even whether they could or not was questionable. But I was at that meeting also, so.
Any more questions for the county executive?
There we go again, right? Believing somebody else tell us something, they go borrow a bunch of money, commit a bunch of money, and all. Let's go ahead and spend it, I promise. That's all right. Never ended.
Any other questions for the county executive? Seeing none, we'll move to special orders. Confirmation of a position switch on the Board of Zoning Appeals between alternate Scott Stout and Donna Beebe to become the 5th District alternate. Scott will become the active member, so from what I understand, Scott was the alternate, so he's going to switch over to be, the alternate's going to actually do their job and become a member of the zoning of Board of Appeals. So if I could get a motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Hooks.
Scott did a fine job.
Any other questions or comments on the special order? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Scott Stout has been appointed as a permanent member of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the 5th District. No zoning resolutions, no whole business. We'll move on to new business resolution 22001, a resolution honoring the service of Gene Stout. We have a motion. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I have none further.
Commissioner White.
Nothing to add, sir.
Any question? Would you like to add anything, Mr.
Laura Connor's here with the Health Department, and Laura, I think you helped us with this resolution, maybe you drafted a lot of it. Just real quick, Gene Stout worked for the county for 23 years. He started out in maintenance here at the courthouse, and he finished up, actually he transferred down to the Health Department when the county bought the Health Department, the building they currently occupy, and he served down there since, goodness, whenever we moved in there. I didn't see the year that moved in, but Gene was with us for 23 years. I think it was only appropriate to honor him for his service. He did a good job down at the Health Department, and I'd worked with him when he was at the Health Department. Did not have any experience with him here, but Laura, you may have something you want to add. But Gene, as we did work with him at the Health Department, as it said here, he was a hardworking, dedicated, loyal, always trying to find a way to save something, never to throw anything away. That's a great maintenance person there, wasn't it, Kenny? Don't throw anything away, we may need it.
We've been clearing out some of the hoarding that's taken place over the years. But, Gene, we really miss him. He's enjoying his retirement so much that he wasn't able to be with us tonight. So we will certainly pass it along to him, but would appreciate you recognizing his service, because we really appreciate it.
I said if there's any way, maybe next month we could present it to him if he's going to be in town, or we can give it to you or whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna plan to try and do something at the office too. He didn't want anything whenever he was leaving, so we're trying to get him back in to do something.
I'll be sure to let us know.
Something to store up.
Fix it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on resolution honoring the service of Mr. Gene Stout? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Resolution 22001 is adopted. Resolution 22002, resolution honoring the service of Earl Templeton Jr. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hendrickson.
He was a fine man. Fine officer, appreciate it.
Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add, sir.
Would the sheriff or Chief Hahn like to add anything for Mr. Templeton?
Well, one thing about Sergeant Templeton, he served 4 sheriffs. He's the only deputy at the sheriff's office that has that accomplishment. When I first started back in the late 80s, he was actually my supervisor. I've known Junior for a long time. He's worked hard. He contributed to the department. He contributed to the community very well. He was very loyal to the department, very loyal to Sheriff Stockton and myself, and he does need to be recognized. I talked to him 2 days ago, and he was a little bit under the weather, so that may be why he's not here tonight. But I will be sure to let him know that he was appreciated by the commission.
Thank you, Chief. Any more questions or comment on resolution 22002? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Resolution 22002 is adopted.
Just for the record, as everybody knows, the audience did not know, Sergeant Earl Templeton Jr. served 25 years in law enforcement. That's a feat in and of itself.
Resolution 22003, a resolution recognizing Terry Stevens Sr., recipient of the 2020 Governor's Volunteer Star for Roane County Award. Got a motion by Commissioner Hooks and a second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hooks.
Well, I think the day he stepped in the office, he stepped into an office that deserved and needed a lot of work, and he hit the ground running, and I appreciate him getting this recognition.
Commissioner White.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Any more questions or comments? A resolution recognizing Terry Stevens Sr., the 2020 Governor's Volunteer Star for Roane County. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Resolution 22003 is adopted. Mr. Stevens, you can step forward. Get their picture. David wants to get a picture. Mr. Woody's going to read the resolution.
You didn't bring Bo up, that wouldn't be right.
Yeah, bring the boss up.
There you go. So this is the resolution just approved by County Commission, whereas Terry is an active member of the Rotary Club of Kingston, where he serves as the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club of Roane County, an active volunteer in the Roane County Anti-Drug Coalition since March 2018, where he serves on the board of directors. Volunteers through the Retire and Senior Volunteer Program with the Cooperation for National and Community Service. I'm not sure what that is, but that sounds very impressive. Has been employed as a pharmacist at the University of Tennessee College of Veterinary Medicine for over 14 years and now enjoys working part-time. He was appointed as a member of the Governor's Opioid Abuse Task Force by Governor Bill Haslam in January of 2018 for the Tennessee Commission on Pain and Addiction Medication Education, where his tireless effort helps to support the missions of the Roane County Anti-Drug Coalition, which is to reduce youth abuse, substance abuse, to educate and raise awareness of alcohol, tobacco, and other drug uses, to promote community involvement and strengthen the community partnership and prevention strategies in Roane County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Roane County Commission does hereby recognize Terry Stevens for his support of the Roane County Anti-Drug Coalition and recognizing you for the Governor's Volunteer Star.
We need a little more this way.
Out of the picture, huh? How many pictures you taking?
Mr. Stevens, would you like to?
You like to add anything?
Well, one of the things that Roane County has a lot of, I volunteer very little compared to some of the things other people volunteer in the county. It's one of your bigger assets is the amount of time they did the state. For example, the volunteers in the state account for about $3 billion in assets. You know, in Roane County, same way, we have people that really volunteer a lot more than I do. Their time, their energy, and I think that all volunteers, I accept this for all volunteers in the county. So.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Resolution 22004, resolution honoring the heroic action of Anna DeBose. Is that correct? I think we did. DeBose. Got a motion by Commissioner Wilson and a second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Commissioner Wilson?
I think she will do this honor. After reading the story and somebody stepping up, and you definitely deserve this, for sure.
Commissioner Hendrickson, could you yield to Chief Hahn right quick? Chief Hahn?
I'd like to tell y'all the quick story of how this came about. On January the 10th, 2020, at about 6 a.m., Anna Dobos, who is a resident here in Roane County, who is also a patient care provider at Roane Medical Center and in the nursing program at Roane State Community College, was driving by Half Moon Shores Road on her way to work at Roane Medical Center. She noticed what she believed to be a fire at the residence. When I talked to her initially, she said all I saw was a flicker, and it caught my attention. Ms. Dobos knew the homeowner, who was Leroy Halcox, so she stopped to see if it was a fire or not. She saw that the back of the house was on fire. She attempted to make entry into the house, but was unable to due to the doors and the windows being locked. She beat on the side of the house, beat on the windows, beat on the doors, no response. She went to the next door neighbor, who happened to be Mr. Halcox's son and daughter-in-law. She was able to get a hammer from the neighbor and beat a hole in the door so that she could reach in and unlock it. Ms. Dobos went into the burning home, and she told me that while she was in there, that she could see the fire falling like a waterfall out of the ceiling everywhere in front of her. Then she heard Mr. Halcox in the basement calling out to her. He had no idea that the house was on fire. He was wanting to know who had entered his home. Miss Dobos was able to bring Mr. Halcox out of the residence just before it was fully consumed in fire. Mr. Halcox is certainly alive today because of the heroic actions of Anna Dobos. Step on that.
Commissioner Hendrickson, would you?
Yeah, you know, my mama always told me, she said, you never know when you might run into an angel. And you're Mr. Halcox's angel. And I appreciate what you done.
So it's always good to have events like this tonight. We've honored two people who have retired with over 20 years of service. We honored a volunteer of our program, but it's also great to honor a hero, is what you are. Anna, I'm not going to read all this because, Chief, you went through it all, what she did. Now, I will say this is, we go to church together. The family does in there. So, and Leroy's son and daughter-in-law all attend the same church. So this is a pretty tight-knit community. So when you're seeing something happen at someone's house, whether you know them or not, you're going to try to help out. But this was a very heroic effort. I know the family, the Halcoxes, Gary and his sister are glad you did what you did, and of course Leroy is too. So it is a pleasure to honor you, and it basically, it says what the chief said, but it says, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Roane County does hereby recognize and honor Anna Dobos for her acts of bravery and heroic action in saving the life of Mr. Halcox. Thank you.
Ms. Dobos.
Yeah, probably like that. Do it one more time.
I'd like to say thank you to God for keeping His protective shield over us during that, because it happened so fast. I mean, there was no way anybody else could get there in time. And it truly was a miracle I was able to get them out. So I'm just thankful I was able to be there.
Thank you.
Very good.
Let's go ahead and vote on Resolution 22004 right quick. Resolution 22004 is adopted. I'm going to take a 5-minute recess right quick. No, there's no objection. Go back into order. I apologize to everybody. My sugar dropped, so I had to go get something to eat right quick. Move on to Resolution 22005, a resolution to transfer surplus property located adjacent to the Rams football field to the Rockwood Rams Quarterback Club. Got a motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner East. Commissioner Meadows.
This is something we had talked about at the property committee last meeting, and I think what had happened, and Mr. Helper might want to address this, is that property was intended, from what I recall, to be deeded to the Rams organization, but it ended up being part of a different parcel. Is that correct? That's correct. And it was unintentionally left out. And it was approved by the property committee to go ahead and deed that to the Rams organization. It's near Palm Grove School, and it was all, I guess, one track at that point. And then it was cut outside.
Second, I'm leading there.
I'd like to let Mr. Coker tell you, Mr. Coker, please.
Mr. Coker.
A couple of years back, it's been a little while since property was donated to the Rockwood Rams Quarterback Club, and we thought the whole parcel down there included our parking lot, football field and everything. Well, come to find out, the deed that we have only covered the football field, and the property that it holds the press box and the parking area for the Rams field was actually up for auction. And luckily, a gentleman come in requesting some information on the property and found out about it. We greatly appreciate the work that the property committee put through and did, Mr. Woody, because without this additional parcel of property, the field would be useless for the youth of Rockwood. So we greatly appreciate you guys considering this.
And Mr. Cover, all the improvements were done at the quarterback club, is that correct?
Yeah, all the buildings down there have been built by the Rockwood Rams Quarterback Club.
You're just glad that gentleman come in your office.
Oh, you? Yes.
Mr. East, you still have the floor.
That's all I have. I just wanted to explain to people what we do.
Any other questions or comments on Resolution 22005? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Resolution 22005 is adopted. Resolution 22006, a resolution to authorize the county executive to execute the renewal contract for an ambulance billing service. Motion by Commissioner White, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner White.
I guess yield to Mr. Wood if he's got anything to say about it.
So we've been with this ambulance building company for a number of years. I guess when we first came in, we were in-house. We tried to keep up with everything in-house. That was kind of unsuccessful for us. Then we outsourced to a company down in Georgia for a number of years, and we started having problems with this. And so Tim Suter and I both went, I don't know if anybody else went with us or not, we went and visited this company before we executed our contract. This is our second or third renewal. This is our second renewal with them, and we've been satisfied with them, but we know where they're at, and we'll call them up or go visit them if we have any problems. They do, Tim, is Tim here? I thought I saw him.
Yes.
They do substantially most all governmental billing, I think, in Tennessee now. They're out of Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah. Commissioner White, you still have the floor.
I have nothing to add.
Commissioner Meadows.
I've been on the OES board for some time. When we were doing it in-house, and then after we contracted with this particular company, and the difference has been phenomenal. I mean, it was nearly immediate, and not only collecting the current accounts, but they're going back and collecting the old ones as well. And I'm very satisfied, and hopefully Mr. Studer is as well.
Any more questions or comments on Resolution 22006? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 22006 is adopted. Resolution 22007, a resolution to enter into a joint bid agreement with the City of Harriman for delinquent tax sale properties. Motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Wilson.
I'll defer to Mayor Woody.
So this is similar to the other agreements we have with the city of Kingston and the city of Rockwood, where we can now jointly manage delinquent back tax property, have the sales concurrently, and then manage them if we have to buy them in government agencies. You've reviewed this contract, I think, and
It's the exact same contract that you have with the other two cities.
Well, this was the last city, is that correct? To join with us? Commissioner Wilson, anything further?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Meadows?
I'm just glad to see Harriman join in.
Any other questions or comments on 22007? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 22007 is adopted. Moving along to Resolution 22008, a resolution authorizing Roane County to submit for the Tennessee Complete Count Grant Program 2020 U.S. Census, funded by TN Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration, Office of Criminal Justice Programs. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Meadows.
This came before Budget Committee just before this meeting, and it came out with a recommendation that we accept. And it, from what I recall, it's a zero match, and I'll defer to Mr. Woody for further.
that is correct. It is a zero match. The grant availability just came to us probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and this is just another way to help us try to ensure that everyone's counted. No matching, and this is going to be available on probably all of your counties out there in some form or fashion.
And how much is it estimated each person is worth?
I saw that number, but
there is value.
Yeah, it's in the thousands of dollars somehow.
So it's crucial that we count as many as we can. Nothing further.
Commissioner Hooks.
Nothing further.
Any more questions or comments on Resolution 22008? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 22008 is adopted. Resolution 22009, a resolution to amend the General Fund 101, Sanitation Fund 116, Special Purpose Fund, Ambulance Fund 118, Special Purpose Fund 121, Fire and Animal Control Fund, Highway Public Work Fund 131, Wastewater Fund 204, where overages exist either by unexpected changes to the departments or needs have changed since the first of the fiscal year. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Meadows.
I'll defer to Mr. Woody.
So we do cleanups about twice a year. This is one. You'll notice that a lot of it is dealing with some retirement programs, which we have some employees on a hybrid and some under a legacy. There are no new positions in this adjustment. It is not taking any money from our fund balance. It's basically just kind of moving, shuffling some money around as you'll look through it. It's just corrections of calculations and nothing of any significance here.
Commissioner Meadows.
Nothing to add.
Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add.
Any more questions or comments on Resolution 22009? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 22009 is adopted. Resolution 22010, a resolution to amend Resolution 012008 to increase grant matching funds for the 2019 Assistance to Firefighter Grant Program. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Commissioner Meadows.
This came before Budget Committee as well, and I think what has occurred is the match portion had gone from 5% to 10%. And Mr. Wood, if you'd like to add to that, plus Mr. Suter does have plans.
Yeah, Mr. Suter's here and he can answer what these grants for, but as you can see, it's a 10% match, so we put in $25,000. We're asking for $250,000 for EMS, fire prevention, equipment, training, and other improvements. And Tim, if you want to add to the particulars of this.
Amanda, maybe you talk about the specifics of it.
Just some of the things that we're looking into buying with this grant. It will go towards some equipment for the emergency trucks, rescue trucks, as well as a training trailer that we hope to have to be able to take to events throughout the county, to utilize with the schools and other county events, to simulate fire prevention, things of that nature, as well as some bounce house activities for the kids that are fire prevention related, and just different equipment, things like that for our firefighters as well.
Mr. Woody, anything?
That's all I have.
Mr. Meadows? Commissioner Henderson?
Nothing further.
Any more questions or comments on 22010? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 22010 is adopted. Resolution 22011, a resolution authorizing Roane County to submit for the Volkswagen Community Grant Application. A motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Wilson.
I think this is also coming before the Budget Committee, but I'll go ahead and defer to Mayor Woody for the rest of this.
So this does require a match, or we're pledging a match of 25%. We have the money already budgeted that was not allocated for a specific project, so we're not taking it out of our reserves. Hopefully we would get a $50,000 grant and we'd have 17 with it, so we would have a $67,000 grant. We've gone through some master planning in Parks and Rec. I know some of you all have been on those committees and boards. The one thing that we would like to accomplish with this is take part of the walking trail down at the Roane County Park and make it handicap accessible. So you would have a start point, an end point that could be designated as handicap accessible in the park.
Commissioner Wilson.
Nothing further.
Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add.
Any more questions or comment on Resolution 22011? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 22011 is adopted. Resolution 22012, a resolution to create and appropriate the Midway, Oliver Springs, and Oak Ridge ADA funding in a separate subfund of the General Capital Project Fund 171, school constructions, and to appropriate the funding for relocation of the Codes Building in 171 jail expansion. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Meadows.
Like the others, this one came before the Budget Committee as well, not before Mr. Woody.
So I think there's been, this one been handed out, at your desk, there should be an amended copy. So I would hopefully that the movement in the second would accept the amended copy as the motion.
Commissioner Meadows?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
I have nothing to add.
Okay, just real briefly on this, we do this predominantly for ourselves, but also to help everybody understand what we're doing. We already technically have the authority to post these budgets because you all have approved the bonded indebtedness, which was the big deal. But what this kind of does is the first page, if you'll look at the top, we had it previously budgeted in one group of accounts. We're decreasing those to zero and just putting it into another account so we can identify it more clearly. That's the $1 million generally that deals with predominantly what was happening at the Midway Sewer Plant. The second page, it increases this last bond. That's what the first 4 lines reflects there, is the money that we came in, because some of this goes to Oak Ridge. That's the first 4 lines. The decrease is the money we received last year. You know, we had the $7.1 million. Some of that has been spent, just very little on the project, but there was almost $9 million still there. We are reducing that to zero so we can reappropriate that and show you where it's at. So what you see in the increased expenditures in the middle of the page, that is for the education component. And you'll see over to the far right-hand side, it was 11.9 million, almost $12 million. 748,000 was a check that we'll write this year. We've already wrote part of the check last year when we transferred some money. The bottom part deals with really this $1 million for this last issue that was jail related. We have the bond proceeds. We brought in $1,028,000, and then it's appropriated $1,028,000. We're reflecting in the building purchase, but that's not what we're paying for the building, as you can see on the resolution, because this is for the building, to raise 2 buildings and then do any a renovation that may be needed. So this is just to help you all kind of follow how the money goes in and comes out. Technically, we have most approval from the comptroller's office as the resolutions were approved, the bonds were already approved.
Mr. Meadows?
Nothing.
Commissioner White?
I have nothing to add.
Any more questions or comments on 2/2012 as amended? I will record the vote. Resolution 2/2012 as amended is adopted. Resolution 2/2013, a resolution authorizing a continuous 5-year reappraisal cycle. Motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Wilson.
Either and/or defer to Ms. Hardup or Mayor Woody, either or. Sorry, I'd like to talk.
Yeah, the first part of this is every year, every 5 years, we have to basically say, are we on a 5-year program or a 4-year program? And this is saying we're on a 5-year program. Molly, you want to add anything to that?
Don't really have anything to add. This is just to make it our official 5-year reappraisal cycle. We're finishing up our 2020. We've already sent it to the state. So they're approving it, going through our numbers, everything like that. So this is just for our 2025 cycle. Just the process, what we're responsible for as an office, what my staff do, what I'm responsible for. So does anybody have any questions about the reappraisal plan or about reappraisal?
Will we stay on a 5-year cycle until changed?
We will, as far as I know, I would rather stay on the 5-year reappraisal cycle. It has worked historically very well in the past, and it worked very well this time around. And I'm finally going to get the numbers to be my office's numbers, not having to reflect back to the 2015. So moving forward, hopefully it'll be more accurate. We've had to do a lot of cleanup to get things accurate. It's been a long, hard process, but it's going very well.
Appreciate all you've done.
Thank you.
Are y'all running on schedule?
We are on schedule. Yes, we have turned it in last Thursday night, sent it to the comptroller's office. So they just have to finalize everything, go over our numbers. We do cleanup reports. We're still doing that. So that will be for the next few weeks. But we're done. We're pretty much done. We just have a little bit more with commercial, just on review, making sure everything is where it should be with our landlines, commercial base rates, things like that. But residential is complete. Commercial sales, residential sales, everything has been completed.
Appreciate y'all's hard work.
Thank you. I'm very proud of my staff. They've done a great job.
We are too.
Thank you.
When do we anticipate notices?
The assessment change notices should come out mid to late April. The informal hearings will start in May, and then the month of June is set aside for any appeals.
Commissioner Wilson, you still have
Nothing further.
See you in June.
Commissioner Meadows.
Nothing further.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and record a vote on 2/2013. Resolution 2/2013 is adopted. Resolution 2/2014, a resolution adopting the Roane County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner Hester. Commissioner Meadows.
Earlier this evening, we had a OES meeting at which we adopted or approved the mitigation plan. Tim, would you like to fill everybody in on that?
Amanda could probably do this too, but page one. Our hazard mitigation plan is a plan that's put together every 5 years and reviewed. TEMA came in, we put together a committee with representatives from the city of Kingston, Harriman, Rockwood, Harriman Utility Board, and a few other folks that met with us. We looked at all the potential natural disasters that could hit this area, and we kind of prioritized some plans to address or mitigate some of those issues. TEMA put the plan together. TEMA approved it, sent this to FEMA for their approval. We got the approval pending adoption. We had to meet with Kingston, Harriman, and then this last week or so we met with Rockwood, which caused us to have a special call meeting to bring it before you all. Basically what we're waiting on is approval from this body. We submit that back to FEMA, and this plan is done for 5 years.
Did you have any mitigation risk of flooding in your plan?
Flooding, yes, flooding, tornadoes, winter storms, wildfire, drought, landslides, earthquakes, and presidential disaster declarations. We've addressed it all.
Commissioner Meadows.
Nothing to add.
Commissioner Hester, you have the second.
Nothing to add.
Any more questions or comments on 22014? Seeing none, we'll record the vote. Resolution 22014 is adopted. Resolution 22015, a resolution to authorize the purchase of a former Bank of Roane County building at 320 North Kentucky Street, Kingston, for the location of the Codes Enforcement Office. Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hendrickson.
Mr. Woody, have you looked other places in the county for location other than Kingston?
Yes. Well, actually what we did is we looked at, we put a notice in the newspaper. Of course, this has been going on for a number of years. We were approached on this facility probably 3 or 4 years ago. And then we started looking around several months ago about other particular locations. We put a notice in the newspaper looking predominantly in the Kingston area because we needed to be relatively close to the courthouse, because you need to be relatively close to your property assessor, where there's some interfacing going there, and also with our GIS department in the courthouse. We did look at a facility, or we were offered a piece down in Midtown. There were 2 or 3 in Kingston we talked about. And we had some written proposals from 2 or 3 folks. And one of them was the bank building that we looked at before.
Something you might not be aware of, the HEB building in Harriman's empty, which is plenty of parking there. We actually have a county office in there. Also, the county owns the building that the Harriman Police Department is currently in, that they'll be moving into a new building, and we could have it for free.
And that's a school building there.
and I may have misspoke, a contract, but on a sales agreement, you could certainly say, well, you know, we'll purchase it for this amount of money if you look at fixing this problem.
I got a motion by Commissioner Wilson, is that correct?
Yes.
Go ahead, state your motion.
Well, I'd like to amend this and kind of,
What if you don't like the inspection? Are you retaining the right to back out if you don't like the inspection? I think you need to clarify this motion.
What, go ahead.
so to clarify the motion, in the inspection, we can add that if there's any mold or air conditioning unit problems from that facility, that the owner is paying for that prior to the sale.
Or negotiated through the contract.
Roof leak. Or roof leaks, to add that.
Mr. That's sufficient.
Maybe put in there that it comes back before us after the inspection.
Usually, when you're entering into a contract where you retain the right to inspect, usually as part of that contract, you're given the opportunity to walk away from the transaction if you don't like what the inspection showed.
Any finding.
The problem here is we don't have a contract before you, so whatever you vote on tonight, that is your offer. So we need to clarify.
You may want to consider a dollar amount.
I'm just not up on,
Me.
I'm just being honest. I think those are fair things to look at, and I think that's things that they would look at anyway. I don't anticipate with a metal roof, I don't anticipate with structural. I think things that's a possibility that can always happen is always an air conditioner unit and mold. Those are things that can be rectified at a reasonable cost. And I think a fair market value price on that property, being a commercial property, is $775. So I would like to keep my amendment the way it is on that.
So $775 with an inspection and looking at if there's problems with mold, AC, structure, or roof.
Yes.
Mr. Meadows.
The more we're discussing this, the more I think it might be proper and prudent on our part to have an inspection prior, to making an official offer to them.
I agree.
Because we just don't know what we're getting into. I feel like we need the property. I think there will at least some overcrowding, but I don't want to get a situation where we're going to have to spend double what we paid for it just in improvements.
Well,
that property, I have in my mind what I think that property is worth, a value, and what we have for saving. That's where I was going on the anticipation. You're right what you're saying, but I don't anticipate on that building standing there like it has for that long, and no water in the building. But
at this point, we don't know.
We do not know.
We do not know, and I think that we could get that done relatively quickly, and then have a report generated on our behalf to list out the weaknesses that are found, and then we use that to formulate an offer.
A negotiating price.
Negotiated price.
So the motion to amend you got right now is to offer $775 with an inspection for, then looking for the mold, AC, structural, and roof problems.
Yes.
So that's his motion right now, that's what you got seconded so far. So do you want to change that, or do you want to keep that one?
I don't have a problem if you want to take off the negotiating price there.
I just think it, you know, that we just will not know until it's actually an inspection performed and a report presented back to us, actually what is there.
So, yeah, you make a valid point. So on that, I will amend that to having the inspection prior to making an offer of the structural, roof, and a total inspection. A total inspection.
The entire, complete inspection.
Exactly.
What about if you made that your thing pending passing an inspection? You know what I'm trying to say, or what?
You're saying if it passes the inspection.
This is what your offer is.
Just set it
fix
up a month.
this is-
What's it going, we're not under the fire.
Hold on, Mr. Bell. Hold on, we got a motion and a second by Mr. Wilson.
I'll keep it at the inspection.
Mr. Meadows, did you have anything?
The
further?
inspection.
Offer $775 with an inspection and try to get commitments to fix any mold, AC, structural, or roof problems. It comes back in the inspection. Is that correct, Mr. Wilson?
Can we ask Mr. Leffey if we're okay now?
Okay, yeah.
So we're back to the amend that you all have you don't have a problem with offering the 775 with the amendment. I mean, with the inspection.
His motion was to amend to make the offer $775 with an inspection and a commitment to fix if there's any mold, AC, structural, or roof problems. Did you have, Mr. White was asking if that was clear enough? I'm sorry.
I think that's clear enough for everyone to understand what you're requiring and what you're going to require of the seller. So that alleviates my concern.
So that's your motion, that's your second. Did you have anything further, Mr.
I think
Meadows?
actually Hester seconded. I just asked to speak.
Okay, well, you was interjecting on that. Sorry, Mr. Hester. Is that, do you have any more comments with that amendment offered?
No, nothing follows.
Mr. Hendrickson?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're hell bent to buy this building. And with that being said, I don't see people knocking down their door to buy it. So, I think we're the only fish on the line. And with that being said, I'm not against offering him $500,000, and we'll buy it as is.
Let me take this amendment up, then if this one passes or fails, we'll come back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, I mean, can I try to amend their amendment?
We have to take up the amendment that's on the floor first, then you can amend the main one back if this one passes or fails. So any more questions or comments on the amendment to make the offer of $775 with prior inspection with commitments to fix mold, AC, structural, or roof problems? Okay, we're going to vote on the amendment as stated. The amendment fails 8-5. Coming back to Mr. Hendrickson.
Yeah, I'd like to amend it, since we're the only fish on the line, let's offer him $400,000, $500,000. I mean, you know, he's still making money on it.
Do you want to offer 4 or 5?
Yeah, let's go with 4.
As is?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a motion for, hold on a second. You said 400,000 as is. Do I got a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Hester. Commissioner Hendrickson. Do you need anything further?
No, that's it. I mean, we're the only fish on the line, so let's.
Okay. Mr. Hester.
Well, so I've got the
assessment data pulled up. So, and I like where you're going, Junior, lowering the price. But unfortunately, I don't think we can bargain with the owner. But the assessment data is $889,400. I do like the fact that in 2018, October 4th, it sold for $550. Then it was improvements made after that. So I mean, you're saying you're coming in at what,
775 is.
Yeah, but no, Junior's.
Oh, Junior's.
Junior's amendments, what'd you say?
5 as is.
Yeah, 4 or 5, I mean, I don't care, let's pick a number, we're the only fish on the line. You know, I mean,
Well, I mean,
the time to take the money is when the person's standing there with it. You know, we're the only ones with money back. We're it. I mean, he can sit all on it and write it off for all I care the rest of his life.
Okay, doesn't follow. I guess you need to be clear though.
Could you clarify, you want to say 4 or 5?
I tell you, let's split down the middle, 450.
Okay, motion for 450 as is, and Mr. Hester, would you second that motion?
I'll still second it.
Okay. Any other questions or comment? 450 as is. Commissioner Gann.
I don't mean to keep driving this home, but I don't believe we need to buy this building tonight. And I think we really need to have it inspected before we ever do it. I think we can table this for a month, and I think within that month, we can get an inspector in. We can have that building inspected. We can figure out what the cost is to remodel it for what we want to use it for. Because if we spend $800,000, $400,000, $500,000, or $775,000, we're looking at another probably $250,000 remodeling cost on this. So I think really we should get an inspector to look at it, table this for a month, get an inspector to look at it, come back, tell us what the problems is and the estimated cost on those problems. Then we will know what we can offer within that budget.
Who's going to pay for the inspection?
The county, it's going to be for our benefit. I mean, it would be for our benefit, for our cost savings. I don't know what inspection for that commercial would do. I can give you a rough estimate on what a residential inspector makes. It's around about, I don't know if there's any in here, so I don't want to say, but.
Last I paid was about $800.
Okay, but I don't know what a commercial inspector would do, because I don't know what they'd have to do. It would probably be more than that. But I think if it is more than that, I think it would save us.
I think it would be more than that, because your building has to be at the code, because you have the people come in off the street, you know, in a commercial building. So there's
But I think the wise thing to do is table this for a month.
And I'm okay with that, but I think we need to get away from that.
Let's go ahead. Mr. Hendrickson had a motion. I think we ended up at 450 as is.
450.
So let's go vote on that amendment, and then we'll come back to the resolution as stated. Any further questions or comments on the amendment to make the offer price 450 as is? Seeing none, we'll record the vote.
We're almost there. Sorry. We're doing 450, right?
450 as is. The amendment has failed 2 to 11. Back on the amendment, 2/20/15. Mr. Meadows.
No, it's on the motion.
We're back on the resolution 2/20/15. It's on the floor. The amendments have all failed, so we're back on the original motion for 2/20/15. Go ahead, Mr. Meadows, you have the floor.
I would like to offer an amendment on this, in that we pay at our expense a commercial licensed inspector to go out there on our behalf to give us the current status of the property, and based on these results, we will potentially go forward with negotiations on this property. Those, from my bank experience, those things usually run $1,500 to $2,500, but you can put them out for bid, and you can negotiate based on turnaround and price.
So I guess what I'm getting your motion is to get a inspection to see what the problems are and if there is any, and bring that back the next month to.
Yes, and then go forward. I think, again, I hate to admit it, I think that this probably fits into our footprint, and we're probably, something we really need to look at. This way we'll know what we're, I like where Mr. Hendrickson was heading with his at 450, but we don't know if there's 450,000 remaining on top of that in renovations. We just don't know. And, I just think it'd be a prudent thing to do in a purchase of this nature.
Do I have a second for that?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner
I'll second.
Hester. Do not go on?
I'll second.
Okay. Any more further comments?
No.
Mr. Wilson, any comments?
No, I think that's where we're at right now is, let's get the appraisal, let's see where we're at, let's see what's there, we know more about it, and we can offer the price.
Not an appraisal, it's an inspection.
With an inspection. I meant to say inspection, not appraisal. And get the inspection and then move forward with it.
Sorry, Mr. Hester, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have any?
No.
Okay, so the motion is to get an inspection and come back next month to see where we're at.
But we've got to remember that time is of the essence, because we do have the fire marshal still right there. Nothing has eased off from their standpoint whatsoever. I hope that it would. It has not. And neither from DCI. It is what it is.
Any more questions or comments on the amendment? Mr. Bell?
Who said?
Hold on a second. I have Ms. Cunningham first, and we'll come to Mr. Bell. Did you get it on accident, or?
No.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just listening to all this and being the one that is always stuck out there looking at all the properties and trying to make that decision and bringing it to the board as it is, it's hard to know what those facts are, what everybody's looked at. Personally, if you see me just agreeing and nodding, that's because I'm in that role all the time. And when I'm in that role and I bring it in there to the board, it's because I've looked at everything and I've done my due diligence. And I feel like I would hope that that's what has been done in this case. And if not, well, then we got bigger problems in this one building. That's all I'm saying.
Commissioner Bell, on the amendment.
Nothing. I was gonna ask who's told us the fire marshal's still on us, but that ain't amendment.
They have not said that they're not. That's
They haven't said they are.
Okay. So we got a motion, as so we've stated, and a second by Commissioner Wilson to get the inspection and pretty much bring this back next month. Any more discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll record the vote.
Bring it back before purchase, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The amendment passes 12-1. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, is there any? Well, we voted to get the inspection and bring it back next month. That's what the amendment was to do.
So that you don't have to do anything on the main motion at all.
No, that wasn't, we pretty much deferral what we.
Do we need a motion to defer that?
I included that in your motion to get an inspection to defer this till next month. That's what, bring it back to next month.
Sufficient department procedure.
We voted on the amendment, and the amendment was approved, but you haven't voted on the amended motion. You voted to amend the motion, but you still have this amended
Okay,
motion.
so we voted to amend the motion to get an inspection on the property and bring it back next month. So the motion is now amended to include that. So now we're going to vote on the main motion as amended.
You need to vote on the main motion to defer it a month pending the inspection.
So now we're going to vote on the motion as amended. So a yes vote would be right quick, hold on one second. The motion's been amended to get an inspection and bring it back next month. So that's been amended. So now we got to vote on the motion as amended. I took it as he was deferring it till next month pending that stuff. I didn't take it as an amendment, but that was the intent. But, so that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to vote on the motion as amended as we stated. So it's going to defer and bring it back next month pending pending the inspection. That's the way I took it the first time. So are you ready to vote on this? Because I am. Go ahead and record the vote. If you vote yes on this, that means we're going to get an inspection and bring it back next month. And the motion again, motion as amended passes 11-2. Just so everybody knows right quick, they did call school off tomorrow, so there's no schools in Roane County tomorrow. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor say aye. Motion is adjourned. Meeting is adjourned.
Attention, please. I'd like to call the order of the regular scheduled meeting of the Kingston City Council. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand, and Mr. Brown, if you'll lead us in the invocation. Mr. Childs, if you'll lead us in the pledge of the flag.
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the sunshine today. We ask that you give us this council wisdom to make the best decisions they can for the citizens of Kingston. We ask that you guide us and help us as we go through these deliberations. We ask that you keep us ever mindful of the needs of others, and we ask that you ever keep us mindful of your Son who died for us on the cross for our sins. And we praise you every day. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Childs. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brackett.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Childs.
Present.
Councilmember Humphries.
Present.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Present.
Mayor Neal.
Present. Do you hear a motion to approve the previous minutes?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Have a motion second. Any corrections or deletions?
No, sir.
Madam Clerk, call the roll on the minutes, please.
Councilmember Brackett.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Humphries.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, now we set aside the time for citizens' comments. Is anyone wishing to appear before the council tonight? If there are, please come up and state your name and address and discuss what you got. Okay, so does anyone want to come up and make a comment to the council? Okay, seeing none, we go into reports, the mayor and council. We'll start with Ms. Humphries. You have a report for tonight?
I just wanted to mention that we did have to change our date for the Street Fest. It's now April the 11th. There was a conflict with the old courthouse. Their gala was on the 4th, so we changed it to the 11th. And also, we'd just like to compliment our Park and Rec guys for getting all the driftwood off of the boat slips. They worked very hard for several days on that, and they've really done a good job. I think we should compliment them. That's it.
Mr. Childs?
Nothing much better. I'd like to compliment the police department for some assistance I had in losing my cell phone a couple weeks ago. Done a really good job, and it was in my bag, so thank you.
Just hands. Just stop.
Just have two things. One with beautification. We have a new mural that will be on display that the youth leadership of Roane County has painted. It will be out next week, and that'll be something exciting for people to see. And also an update with the outdoor Kingston. At the dog park, Deputy Sparks and his work crew will be starting on the arbors for shade for the summer. So that'll be starting, he said, within a week or two.
Mr. Brackett, do you have anything? Ms. Ryan?
Okay.
Mr. Brown?
Since our last meeting of the Emergency 911 Board, the board has hired a new director, Mr. Cody Anderson. He will be appearing before this board in the March meeting, if we can give him a little time, just to introduce himself.
Anything else, Mr. Brown? I'll make an announcement. In my report, I've got 2 appointments to the Planning Commission. I'm going to be appointing Jody Tipton and Chris Clifton to the Planning Commission to fill 2 vacant seats. I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I had just a few things here in addition to my written report. To update you, last month I mentioned the home grant. Found out that unfortunately we won't score high enough this cycle to be approved for funding. We're pretty optimistic that we'll be within range by next year, and we'll certainly update you as that gets closer, but we will not be able to submit an application on that this cycle. Speaking of grants, I've been approached by a couple of people about looking at the city pursuing an LPRF grant this year to make lighting improvements to the ball fields at Southwest Point. The applications aren't due until this summer, probably June or August. So there's time to put it on the workshop agenda as soon as next month. If any of you would like to have that added, just let me know. Just a reminder, it is a 50-50 grant, so we will be responsible for half of that. But if that's something we wanted to talk about, we do have time to at least have that discussion. Give you an update on Ladd Park. I've had a couple people ask about that. TWRA has met with us a couple times out there to look at it. Their engineers are looking at the ramp improvements, and it's still possible that they may have some funding that would help offset our replacement costs. It's a slow process, obviously much slower. If we're looking for their assistance, it could be as late as FY 21-22 before they could get it included in their budget. You have, as you know, set aside $100,000 for improvements to Ladd Park, and we can certainly move forward on our own much faster. But I think it probably is worth waiting if there's a good chance that we could get some contribution from them to help with that. So I'll keep you posted if I hear anything else, but at least they haven't said no. So there's a chance that we could get some help with that. Also, Tim Clark and I had a conference call with our engineers this week, or excuse me, last week, on the SDP resurfacing for Ladd Landing. They're working on the pre-design at this time, and we'll be submitting that to TDOT. As soon as they get it finished, I should have a preliminary look at that and be able to green light it within the next week or two. And talking to Jeff Stevens, they think all the steps between now and being ready to go out for bid should go fairly quick. And they're still optimistic that we'll be ready for construction by summer. So we're still moving ahead on that, and that's all I have unless you have any questions.
Are there any questions for the city manager? Seeing none, we'll go into item 7, which is the addition of items to the meeting agenda received after the close of the deadline. I've not received any of those. There is no unfinished business, and we'll go straight into number 9, which is new business. Item A is consideration to authorize the city manager to proceed with seeking loan funding for the Dogwood Drive expansion project. Do I hear a motion for this authorization?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Brackett, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Brackett, anything to say on this? Mr. Brown?
I would assume that this authorization is for the city manager to explore interest rate, payment payback plans, whether or not we would want to, how many years if we did it, and also to see if there's any chance of getting a drawdown on a certain amount of money. Yeah, that way we would be more informed as for decisions in a month or so.
Yeah, whatever I find, I'll bring to the workshop next month.
Council, any questions?
I don't have a question, I actually have a comment. I just wanted to make mention of something that I know at the workshop last week, Councilmember Wright had expressed a concern that maybe if we do this, they might turn around and sell it to a school or a church. And I spoke with one of the owners, Steve Kirkham, this week, and I have a guarantee from both of the owners that they would not sell it to anything like that without they came to council and got permission.
Okay. Anyone else?
Is there any cost associated with the fact-finding mission?
No, there will be before, we can, once we green light what we want, there'll be issuance costs, and that'll vary by product, but, what I bring you, I won't go that far, obviously, without council approval, but yeah, there will, and most of them will be can take out the loan proceeds, but it just depends on what loan, but no, I won't do anything engaged far enough that will incur issuance costs, so.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brackett,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Childs,
Abstain.
Councilmember Humphries,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
No.
Mayor Neal.
No.
Four ayes, 2 noes, and 1 abstain.
And I believe you'll have to ask Mr. Childs, yes or no.
Depends on the pass.
Pass and abstain, same thing, unless you've got a direct conflict with it, personal-wise.
I'll go no.
Would you recount the vote, please?
Four ayes, 3 noes.
So it passes. On B is consideration of resolution 20-02-11-1, the first reading of resolution annexing territories parcels 110 and 114 Roane County Tax Map 57 and incorporating said territory in the corporate city limits of the city of Kingston. Do you hear a motion to pass this resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion, Ms. Wright, second, by Ms. Stockton. Ms. Wright, you anything?
I don't.
Ms. Stockton?
No.
Council? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brackett,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Childs,
Yes.
Councilmember Humphries,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye. Item C is consideration of resolution 20-02-11-2 for the first reading of the plan of services for the annexation of resolution 02-02-11-1 for the city of Kingston. What this does is put the plan of services out there for the area that's going to be potentially annexed. Do you hear a motion for item C?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Wright, second by Ms. Stockton. Ms. Wright?
Nothing, sir.
Ms. Stockton? Council got anything? Madam Clerk, call the roll on that resolution 20-02-11-2.
Councilmember Brackett,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Childs,
Yes.
Councilmember Humphries,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Neal.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item D is consideration of ordinance 20-02-11-1 and ordinance. Hold on 1 second. It's the same numbers you just had.
This is an ordinance, the other two.
A resolution, okay. A consideration of ordinance 20-02-11-1, ordinance amending the zoning map of Kingston City by zoning certain territories annexed by resolution 20-02-11-1 as C4 controlled commercial district. Do we have a motion to amend the zoning map of this property?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion, Ms. Wright, second, Ms. Stockton. Ms. Wright?
Nothing, sir.
Ms. Stockton? Council? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brackett.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Humphries.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Hill.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Item E is consideration to authorize the city attorney to file suit in Chancery Court against the owner of 500 North Kentucky Street due to persistent code violations. We have a motion for this consideration.
Make that motion.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Stockton, second by Mr. Brackett. Ms. Stockton?
I'll have anything.
Mr. Brackett? Counsel? Madam Clerk, call the roll on consideration to authorize the attorney to file suit in Chancery Court.
Councilmember Brackett.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Childs.
Yes.
Councilmember Humphries.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stockton.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Hill.
Aye.
7 ayes.
If nothing else on the agenda, council meeting's adjourned. Now we'll go into the regular scheduled meeting of the Kingston Beer Board. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll for the beer board?
Member Brackett.
Here.
Member Brown.
Present.
Member Childs.
Present.
Member Humphries.
Present.
Vice Chair Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright.
Present.
Chairman Hill.
Present. Do you hear a motion for the previous minutes from last month's meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Second. Anyhow, there's no business. Haven't been in a couple of months. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll on the minutes of the beer board?
Member Brackett.
Yes.
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Humphries.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stockton.
Yes.
Member Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Hill.
Aye.
7 ayes.
With no business before the beer board tonight, this meeting is adjourned. And now I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting of the Kingston Water Board. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Member Brackett.
Here.
Member Brown.
Present.
Member Childs.
Present.
Member Humphries.
Present.
Vice Chair Stockton.
Present.
Member Wright.
Present.
Chairman Hill.
Aye. Present. Do you hear a motion for the previous minutes from the last water board meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Mr. Childs, second by Ms. Humphries. You see any corrections or deletions to the minutes? Board members, you see any corrections? Madam Clerk, call the roll on the previous minutes.
Member Brackett.
Yes.
Member Brown.
Yes.
Member Childs.
Yes.
Member Humphries.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stockton.
Yes.
Member Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Hill.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Now's the time set aside for any citizens' comments for the water board. If anyone wishes to talk to the water board, please come up, state your name and address. We'll go from there. Seeing none, we'll go on to the utility director's reports.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things, very surprisingly to us, you may have noticed in my written report, the warranty replaced raw water pump motor has already arrived. With it, we now have a spare motor on the shelf in case we ever need that going forward, but we were thrilled to get that back as quick as we did. Fortunately, we were able to navigate that problem with no interruptions in service. And hopefully this one will last for a long time. As you know, we just had to pull the backwash pump out and discover that after 40 years of use, it's still within specifications. So maybe we'll get lucky and the raw water motor will last just as long. So, but good news on that was covered by warranty and we already have it back. The recent flooding, obviously, we've had a lot of rain the last week. It certainly tested our sewer system. I'm happy to report overall we did very well. The plant reached a maximum flow of 3.6 million gallons on the 6th, but we handled it without issue. We did have our normal overages, the manhole by the high school being the most persistent. We had a couple of customers in that area that had some operational issues for a bit as we were so inundated with water, but all in all that went well. We are working on a plan to bring Station 1 back up to 3 pumps, which should help a lot to alleviate some of the problems we have in that area. and we'll probably eventually have to look at putting in a larger sewer pipe at some point in the future to permanently address that situation. Fortunately, we don't get rains like that very often, but that's certainly been the case this year. All in all, it's just another example of your investment as a board in our infrastructure over the years paying off. So your sewer system handled itself well. Finally, just want to give you an update on the rate study. As you know, we have that underway. We've compiled a large amount of information for them, sent it to them last week. We also had a conference call with them on Thursday. We'll be following up with another call in the next week to 10 days after they've had a chance to look through all that information. And at that time, we'll probably be working on setting up a site visit. So once I have a date and a time for that, I'll let you know. Would love to have you guys, as many of you could be there, involved in that. Give us a chance to directly communicate with them. I have mentioned to them certainly that without a doubt this could have an impact on our upcoming budget. And my hope is that we'll have a somewhat clear picture at least of what their recommendations are going to be closer to the time that I get the budget to you in April. So we'll have more to report on that as that process goes forward, and that's all I have.
Are there any other questions for the utility director? There is no business on the agenda. Now is there anything to come before the water board? All right, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
I'd like to call this Harriman City Council February the 18th, 2020 to order. Before we get started, we'll have a prayer by Councilman Wright, followed by the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Councilman Wright.
Would you join me, please? And thank you, God, for allowing us to meet again as a council. We seek your guidance and wisdom as we conduct this meeting on behalf of our citizens. Father, may each of us look to you to show us the best action to take during this council session. Father, we're thankful for everyone here this evening and ask your blessings upon each of them. Continue to bless and protect our city employees who provide the service necessary for our citizens. And thank you for our nation, the greatest in the world today. In Christ's name we pray.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Here.
Tim Johnson.
Here.
Kenyon Me. Russell.
Here.
Lonnie Wright.
I'd like to declare a quorum. Need a motion to approve the minutes of the February the 4th, 2020 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Johnson. Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Councilman Holly. Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenyon Me.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes. Motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Meade.
Second.
Second by Councilman Holly. Councilman Meade.
No, sir.
Councilman Holly.
Motion.
Floor is open for discussion. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Tim Johnson.
Yes.
Kenyon Me.
Yes.
Sam Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Wright.
Yes. Motion carries. This time we'll hear from delegation. If you'd like to address this council, please stand, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody want to address council? Yes, ma'am.
Jennifer Palmer.
Yeah, if you'll come up to the...
Spoke with you earlier today.
Yes, ma'am.
We have an issue at our house in West Hills. I'm not sure exactly what can be done or what's being considered. If there's any communications that we could open up between us and you, I would appreciate that.
Okay. Let me just update council real quick. Ms. Palmer lives over in West Hills. I think you all built a house probably 10 years ago maybe, and there's been a slide back behind it. I took Mr. Langley up there today after we talked and took some pictures along the road as far as the way the water is traveling down that road and things up on Ayler Drive.
And I think Drac was going to try to get with maybe the road committee and look at it. And I did talk also with the county to find out what they had looked at from the emergency standpoint. And what I found out, they had talked about a grant that the city could apply for through FEMA that could help you all on your property. But it has to go through the city of Harriman. And so I started checking on that today. To be honest with you, I've known that it was, I went back with Mr. Langley numerous times and just looked. But I guess I've been under the approach that you all was fixing it and this and that. And then I talked to the utilities and their poles started falling. I think they're replacing them. It's got some power issues that's leading on down into the other end of Harriman. So it has become a big problem, and I understand. And but I am trying to find out exactly from the city standpoint what we can do. And I apologize. I want you to know that we're here to help if we can help, and I'm more than willing to do whatever to try to help fix the problem. I can imagine it being my house. And,
Thank you. It's a different perspective if you're standing at the bottom, looking up and looking down from the top. The power poles were de-energized on February the 7th. That evening, as far as I know, there's not been any power running through those high voltage lines since because the poles are compromised that are standing on each side of that slide. It continues to migrate. The rain, the weather, all of it is an issue. And, we can't move anything at the bottom because it's so unstable all the way up to the top and all around. And, we're not asking personally for anything. We're just trying to figure out what can be done. I agree any assistance that comes in needs to come either through the utility or through the city because it's massive.
Right.
It is massive.
And I did talk to the general manager at the utilities today, and she told me they set some poles yesterday to try to get those lines back up because it is having a problem on the other end. But it's still going to be an issue because it's still sliding. But I promise you, you will be hearing from me and hopefully the city manager in the next little bit to find out exactly. We'll touch base with FEMA and find out what they can do. We're here to help. And I apologize for me as the mayor. I had been out there and I seen some tractors and things up there. I just thought that they was fixing it. And
that's been a 10-year endeavor.
Yeah.
This is beyond our track hoe that we purchased last year to help fix the problem.
Okay.
This is beyond us.
I will, if I can, maybe after the meeting or something, if you're still here, I'd like to get your number so I can
I'd be happy
contact you, your husband, and so we can stay in contact and see what we can do. Is council okay with that? Find out what the city can do, if we can do anything to help.
Greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to address council? If not, we'll go into reports. Fire department.
You guys got my monthly stats by email. You'll see in front of you, I turned my annual report into you guys. You guys can look over it. If you have any questions, you can call me later or come by the fire hall. I also would like to say thanks to you all for helping us get that other part of the building down there for more space. Appreciate the mayor stopping by today just to look at it and stuff. It's gonna make a lot of difference in the fire hall and the room for the guys, and I really appreciate it. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Do you have anything for the fire chief? It's looking good. You guys done a good job with fire.
Brad?
Yes, sir.
Less calls or more calls than last year?
A little bit less. It was right at 2,000 last year, and I think it was a little bit over 1,700 this year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir. Police department.
You all should have received our monthly stats by email. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any about them. And also, just right quick, we put something on our Facebook page last week. Our drug dog Izzy, Tony Gregory, had reached out to a company that donates bulletproof vests for police dogs. And we had to put a thing on Facebook saying that they were donating it. And I received confirmation from them the next morning that within 6 to 8 weeks, she'll have a bulletproof vest, that they're working on making it for her right now. So she'll be getting that.
Anybody have anything for police chief? Thanks, sir. Events?
Good evening. I want to report, since I was here last time, January 25th, we had a movie at the Princess Theater. It was Dirty Dancing. We had close to 375 people came out to the movie, so it was a really good turnout. Park and Recs around the concession stand, so I helped make them generate some income for the Park and Recs. Coming up, we have Saturday, March the 7th is the 4th annual chili cook-off. So we've already started. We went to a lot of the city departments to get them to enter into this. We've actually got some city departments from Kingston and Rockwood that's going to enter, and they said they're going to come and take the trophies from us. So we're going to try to stop that. But that's Saturday, March the 7th at 6 o'clock, and it's at the Harriman American Legion Hall down behind beside the Harriman Utility Board. Now, if anybody would like to enter in that, we've got some entry forms I can get you to fill out to send in. Been working with Charlie and his department on a couple things. One is we're working on getting the Dixie Youth State Tournament here in July, so we've been working hard on getting a lot of the businesses and hotels on board to help with that, to sponsor some things and get some letters together. We've also been working with Courts of Praise for the Easter egg hunt, the 6th annual Easter egg hunt that's coming up Saturday, April the 11th. It'll be at Flower Mill Flats, so I'm sort of working with all the businesses on getting items and information together for that also. That's all I had for
What's the Easter egg date?
April the 11th. And it'll be spread out from different times. It starts at 11 a.m. and it'll go in so many minute intervals per hour. I think Chief Tapp's going to ride in the helicopter.
Okay. Anybody have anything for Mr. Ellis?
Thank you all.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Jones, you got an update on that?
We talked to, on the park, of course, it's been closed ever since the flood. We talked to several different people trying to get help. We talked to NRCS. We've been talking to them for a couple of weeks, and they came in. Actually, we met with the director, the engineer, and stuff came down today and went through the park and walked in. He said there were a lot. He said we think we can get some money. He said it's going to be one of those things. We've got to give him a lot of information, for the park, how long it's been there, what's in the park, how long it's been, how many people use it. We've got to give him some information because he's got to write everything up to see what we can do, to get qualify for the money to get to help the park. So they're working on that. He said he'll be working on that for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Working with the insurance company. That's something we got right now. He wants us to keep the park closed down till we get something with the playground equipment. It's not the equipment itself, but it's the mats and stuff that's down there now, the flooring of it. That's what everybody's worried about. We want to get in there and get it cleaned up. We're giving a price. We just want to see if we can just get the whole bottom of the surface replaced where the playground is right now. That's what we're working with the insurance company, and hope we'll know something by the end of the week on that.
Thanks, sir. Any other reports need to come before council? Not, we'll go into new business. First item, discuss and possibly approve grant request for steam bait protection at Riverfront Park. Kenny, do you know what?
I'm not sure, is that steam bait or stream bait?
Stream bait.
Stream bait, I'm sorry.
That might be a typo. Yes, sir. So that part of that has to do with, it's similar to what.
It is the letter that we got.
Right, yeah. So Charlie actually probably would know a lot more about that than I would.
Well, that's the letter that we'd sent in, the mayor, y'all sent in, that we would, if they pay us, they'll pay 75%, we'd pay 25%. We told them if we got the grant, we'd be willing to pay our 25%. I think it just won't let the mayor and the council know we did apply for this grant.
You've already applied for the grant?
Yeah, we sent the letter in, that's what got them down here today.
But they would need something from the body finalizing it, Mayor. That's my understanding as to why that would be on there. That's usually the language that they have, is something from the CEO or anybody.
So, okay. So I guess what he's asking council is to approve, for a grant that's already been applied for, to spend up to 25% to match the 75% that they give. Sound right?
I make a motion that we approve the grant request for the stream bank protection at Riverfront.
I'll second it.
Motion by Councilman Me, second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Me.
No, sir.
Councilman Johnson.
No, sir.
Floor is open for discussion.
Do we know how much?
Well, I don't know exactly. Well, the guy engineer come down today, and he's got some different ideas what he would like to do. Thinks it'll hold up a lot better. We did get Charles Shooting down, which done the riprap we had on the last time, and he gives us a price around $270,000. Is what he would do. But the engineer today we talked to said he thinks it should be maybe done a little different, but he don't really know. He wants to get it and look at it, and he'll find out. But that's, we have one estimate of $270,000.
Was that before or after the flood?
Well, that was before the flood.
That was before the flood.
So, yeah, it's probably pretty much.
Mr. Mayor, when we had a meeting with FEMA, they said it could be upwards to $1 million.
So it's going on this thing. So you all approving to spend maybe up to $250,000 on your 25%. Any other discussion?
It's a request, right? So it's not, we're not saying
We're not approving it, we're just approving the apply for the grant. Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Sam Russell?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, discuss and possibly approve purchase of a parcel of property adjacent to the Riverfront Park. You all should have a drawing of the property. It is the building that sits beside the entrance to the Riverfront Park that has been abandoned probably for the last 10 to 15 years. The front windows have been knocked out of it. The side doors are knocked out of it.
The back doors are knocked out.
The back doors are knocked out of it. We have been dealing with the property owner for, I know ever since I've been here, I've been talking to them. I've come up with a price that they would let us have it for, and I'd like to ask council to spend up to $9,000 to purchase this property.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Russell, second by Councilman Wright. Councilman Russell.
I think it'll greatly improve our parking situation down here.
Councilman Wright. Floor is open for discussion.
I think it'd be a real good purchase to help us out down there because we're really short on parking.
Yes, for 16,000 going in there, so that's pretty good reduction in price.
Call here, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Sam Russell?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Last item you have on your agenda is discuss and possibly approve contract with TDOT for lighting on exit 347 interchange and Highway 27 north and south interchange.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, on this one, there was some last minute information that came in on this, that the contract that we were going to make with TDOT was not what we anticipated it to be, so there needs to be some corrections made to that. So what we'd like to do is further review that and table this until that can be reviewed further.
Okay. Council, okay with that? Okay. That's all we have on the agenda. I have an item I'd like to discuss. I'd like to ask to waive the agenda rule to discuss a personnel issue.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Russell, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Call roll, please.
Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenny Me?
Yes.
Sam Russell?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Council asked me back a couple months ago to address and look into some issues pertaining to the city manager, and I've done that. And I had a follow-up letter that I wrote and gave to the council, also gave to the city manager at that time. I met with the city manager on numerous times, discussed the issues of complaints and things that was going on within the city, and as of today, I still feel like none of those have been addressed. As a mayor of this city, I'm asking council to put the city manager on administrative leave with no pay, effective February the 19th at 8 o'clock in the morning until February 27th at 8 a.m. to return. During that time, I would ask that council look at what all is going on, and we have a special call meeting to address that in the near future and discuss any other directions we'd like to take.
I'll make a motion. We'll put him on administrative leave.
Motion by Councilman Russell, second.
I second it.
Second by Councilman Johnson. Councilman Russell.
Without going into too much detail, I've experienced some people asking me to do things for them that the city manager's failed to do for months, failed to get back in touch with them. I just feel like we've got to do something different than what we've been doing.
Councilman Johnson.
We just need to look at what's all's been going on with calls I've been getting and everything over the situation, and just try to figure out something that's gonna work better. That's all I've got.
Floor is open for discussion.
So we're doing this is more along the lines of grant issues, what you looked at, and tardiness.
Tardiness is a big problem. Grants where we're at, information that is brought back before the council, information that is brought back to anyone, phone calls that's not returned, properties that we don't know about, things that we don't see. I just feel like before the council can do anything and move forward, you got to know the problems that's at hand. And I think that, I'm not asking to get rid of the city manager. I just think that he needs to understand that we have policies in place and we expect it out of our department heads and he expects it out of them. And I think we should expect the same.
Well, I agree. I mean, I don't have an issue because it's in the personnel policy on attendance and work day and stuff like that. And from the report, back from you, there's an attendance issue.
Any other discussion?
And you reviewed that with him and assumed that he just signed off?
I have, yes. I've reviewed it with him numerous times, and he understood. Last time I reviewed it with him after the letter, and I talked to him about his attendance, and he understood completely and said that it would change, but it has not as of today.
You said report back February 28th.
February
Through the 27th.
Through the 27th.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as long as you are getting with our HR representative and make sure that when he comes back that you sit down and say, hey, this is what, here's an attendance policy and here's your work week policy, and address that with him, make sure that's followed, and
Yeah, just make the expectations clear.
and you'll send it back to us in an email or something.
Further comment? Call the roll, please.
Buddy Holly? Tim Johnson?
Yes.
Kenyon Me?
Yes.
Sam Russell?
Yes.
Lonnie Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Council comments, Councilman Johnson,
I don't have any.
Councilman Russell,
Not this time.
Councilman Wright, Councilman Holly,
Motion.
Councilman Meek.
No, sir.
Only thing I have is, there is a lot of things that we need to get done. I will look at your property, we will start working on that, and appreciate everybody that works hard in the departments and things. It's been a rough couple of months with the waters and things, and appreciate all that you do. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.